All right, Anabolic Academy here on Serious and Silliness Bodybuilding. And this is the part of my channel where I answer everybody's questions about bodybuilding, fitness, or whatever it is you'd like to ask me. So if you're just joining us, where can you reach me? You can reach me at Serious and Silliness Instagram, John Livia Facebook, John Livia TikTok, or you could email me, John_Livia at Yahoo, or my other email, UncleJohn1201 at Gmail. Now, we only have two questions, but they're two pretty good questions. But stick around to the end because I have an announcement to make. But let's jump right into it. Our first question from Viger_S91, who has become a friend. We talk almost every day on Instagram. Did you ever attend the Night of Champions before it was the New York Pro? No, I never did. You got to remember that back then, I was a kid. I was like in community college. I was working a part-time job. I didn't have any like extra money to just go buy, a ticket to go to a pro show. It was hard enough going to spend the money to go to like, the Atlantic States or something like that, right? But no, I never did. It was unfortunate because I wish I would have, because there were a lot of great bodybuilders that competed in the Night of Champions, but now it's the New York Pro. But now I go to the New York Pro pretty much every year because it's 20 minutes away from me. It's not far. And I haven't bought the tickets yet. I think I'm just going to go to the morning show unless Dorian Haywood tells me he wants me there at night backstage. Then of course, I'll go to the night show and get the backstage pass. But I might just go to the prejudging in the morning. But we'll see what happens. I'm actually looking forward to this New York Pro. It's really shaping up to be some show. I mean, this is a deep, deep New York Pro. I mean, who do we got? We got Quentin Beastwood, Nick Walker, of course, my friend Dorian Haywood. We have Tony O'Burton. We have Beef Stew. We have Martin Fitzwater. And those are just the big names. I don't know who else is coming in. There's a lot. Last year, there were a lot of guys I never heard of that were really good quality bodybuilders, like an Eric Wood. There were a couple others that escaped my name, and really made it a good show. So we'll see what happens this year, but this should be an exciting New York Pro. All right, next question from Fran is the man. Thoughts on Samson blocking Milos, Dennis James, and Chris Cormier on Instagram? Yeah. All right. So anybody who watches my show knows I have a huge emotional attachment to Samson because Samson was the first elite bodybuilder ever to accept my invitation to come on my show. And he's been on my show several times. And, he has become a relatively good friend, I guess you could say, right? I mean, from time to time, we talk on Instagram. And I'd hate to think that he is that sensitive. If you have a falling out with Milos, that's one thing. Nobody really knows what happens behind the scenes. But to block anybody that's kind of like friends with him, I guess you could say, because they're on the same podcast every week, Chris Cormier and Dennis James. I mean, that seems strange. It seems odd. But look, man, bodybuilders are sensitive to begin with in general, right? Yeah, Martin Fitzwater blocked me. Everybody who watches my show knows that because I reported when he got arrested. It was public knowledge. I wasn't the first one that reported it. I just reported it and he blocked me. He didn't like it. Which is really funny for bodybuilders because bodybuilders, their entire world revolves around taking their clothes off, being almost naked in front of a panel of judges and saying, "Judge me." But they are extremely sensitive when they get judged. Now, I don't know. I'm not a regular watcher of Dennis James podcast. I really should. I actually watched EP09's wrap up of the podcast he does every week to see what actually happened. It could be that they criticized him because people have been saying that he needs to come in leaner and harder and more shredded in order for him to beat guys like Hadi or Derek. So it could be that he's that sensitive that he doesn't want to hear it. Maybe he, I don't know, man. I don't know. You don't know what goes on behind the scenes. I don't know. I have never blocked a friend from Instagram because we had an argument, or because he didn't get it, or because we had a fallout. It's just the last thing I did. I had a good friend at work, and he doesn't talk to me anymore. We had an argument at work. I never blocked him from my social media, and it's just stupid. It's just ridiculous. You have an argument, you get over it the next day. That's it. You put it behind you. You let bygones be bygones, and that's it. Plus, you don't want to burn any bridges. eh, you know, Samson has been on this upswing in his career in the last 2 years, like nobody's business. He has been an Arnold Classic winner. He has been an Arnold Classic runner-up. He has been a top 3 in the Olympia, and he like basically did that in 2 to 3 years. Before that, he was maybe a second tier at best, bodybuilder, and then he hooks up with Milos, whatever they figured out. He puts on amazing size. He still keeps his shape. He comes in good enough condition that he is a tremendous force. And if he's in a show, odds are he's going to win it, right? With the exception of maybe an Arnold or a Olympia. But even in Arnold, he could win any one of them, right? So it could be that people are maybe saying, hey, look, this is what you need to do, blah, 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 and he's taking it a little hard because he's on such a fucking upswing that he's become a little bit too sensitive to the negative comments. I mean, they're not negative. It's just, look, and I'm guessing here. I don't know what happened behind closed doors. I'm guessing here, okay? Just letting you know what my educated opinion might be. If you are in the public light and you decide that this is what you want to do, you are going to have the trade-off for fame and fortune is that people are going to criticize you. That's the trade-off. It's inevitable. Even me with this stupid YouTube channel that I have, people are going to say things to me. And you just got to let it roll off your back, man. I mean, I did the interview with Mish, and most people liked it, but a lot of people thought it was not a good idea to have him on. I got a lot of negative comments on Instagram. Got a lot of negative comments on the YouTube channel. You gotta just roll with it, man. People are gonna say shit. If you're willing to put yourself out there, then you gotta have thick skin. That's part of the game. You gotta have thick skin. I mean, I said it in my short I put on, and I was like, guys, get thicker skin, stop being so sensitive. You never want to burn any bridges, especially in the world that you create business, because you never know what the future holds. You never want to burn bridges, and you never want to shit on the guy coming up, because you don't know how successful the guy coming up behind you is going to be. He might be the next blah, blah, who knows? He might be the next Dennis James in bodybuilding terms. He might be the next, Nick Strength and Power and, the podcasting terms of bodybuilding. And you never want to shit on those guys coming up, because you don't know. Yeah, are there a lot of them that make nothing? But what is it to be nice? What's the problem with being nice? Right? What's the problem with, I'll come on your show. No big deal. Doesn't bother me. Anybody who ever asked me to go on this show, it's an immediate yes. I mean, I don't even think about it. So that being said, I will actually be on Dr. Lisa Alistui. I think I'm pronouncing her name right. We'll be recording Friday. So I was very, very, that's actually the name of her podcast. It's Lisa, Lisa, and then her last name, Alstuey. I'll put it in the description so that you could just go to her channel. And I was very honored when she asked me, because, I'm not a champion bodybuilder. I'm a YouTube guy, right? So I was very, very happy. So she goes, okay, great. I'll send you the link. She sends me the link. I text her back. I got the link. I'm all ready. She goes, okay, good. She goes, I'm interviewing Lee Priest tomorrow. And in my head, I'm going, really? That's who I have to follow. I got to follow Lee Priest, like one of the most famous bodybuilders ever. That's who I have to follow. Great. Great. So it's going to be Lee Priest and then me right after. But it is what it is. Like I don't, look, listen, if I had the chance to interview Lee Priest, I would take it too, to be honest with you. I would, of course. Why wouldn't I? He's an extremely popular bodybuilder. He doesn't care about saying things that might offend somebody. So it would be a very interesting interview. Now, if you want my opinion of Lee Priest as a bodybuilder, I don't know him well as a person. I respect him for saying things and keeping it real, saying things that might offend somebody but are true, and keeping it real. But as a bodybuilder, my personal belief, and I know I'm going to get shit for this, is Lee Priest is overrated. And the reason why I said that was because, first of all, did you ever see what Lee Priest looked like when he was 16 years old? He looked, it was unbelievable. The genetic gifts that he had were just insane. But he kind of, rode on that. There were a lot of times he would show up at a show and he lacked hamstrings and glutes, lacked a little separation in his quads. Now, don't get me wrong. You're gonna go on and you're gonna see the best pictures of him ever. But there are times that, he held water and so on and so forth. And he got way, way too fat on the off season. Way too fat. I mean, it was ridiculous. He looked like a fat, bloated turkey when he got on the off season. And then, he would have to fight to drop all the weight, And don't get me wrong, back then it was at the open. He didn't have to make a weight. But if you wanted to come in lean and hard and, it would be even more difficult because and he'll say it too. He loved junk food and fried chicken and pizza and all that garbage on the off season. So I think he could have been a lot better of a bodybuilder if he would have been a bit more strict on his diet and maybe put in a little bit more work. Go look at any road to the Olympia that he's in. Back in the day in the 90s and the early 2000s, they used to put out these DVDs called Road to the Olympia. And they used to follow the top bodybuilders that were going to be in the Olympia. And if you watch Lee Priest, he's a morning guy, so he gets up early in the morning to go to the gym, and his workouts were not that intense. It was almost as if he was going through the motions, and for him that was good enough because genetically, that guy looked at weights and grew. I mean, it was insane. It was ridiculous. I think Jay Cutler said that he was incredibly impressed the first time he saw him in Gold's Gym, and yeah. You have guys that are that genetically gifted, the 1% of the 1%, right? But then it gets to the point where it always gets to the point, no matter how genetically gifted, then it gets to the point, well, are you going to put the work in now? Because he was genetically gifted to be in the top 10 in the Olympia, and be in the top 5 in any pro show. But now, are you going to put the work in to get to the next level? Are you going to put the work in to be in the top 5 in the Olympia, the top 3 in the Olympia, to be a threat to win any show that you go into? And my personal belief is that he didn't put that work in. He did what he needed to do, and that was good enough for him. That's just my opinion. Now, I know people are going to shit on me for it, because he comes from that era where he was with Flex and Sean Ray and Ronnie and Milos and Marcus Rule. But just go look, just go look for yourself, and believe me, there were a lot of times he came in holding water, especially his glutes and his hamstrings. And there were times where, you go look at him, his workouts, and they don't seem too intense. But he was a fan favorite that you can, even me, like I was a fan of his during that time. 100%. Absolutely. He used to come out to the Superman music. Everybody loved it. He came out one time with a cape, everybody loved it, But I remember one time we went and he guest posed, and I got to meet him. I think it was like the East Coast of Eastern USA or something like that. And it was in, at the time I was at the Tribeca Arts Center. Now they're all in New Jersey. And I remember he had a Superman ring, he had a Superman watch, he had the necklace with Superman, he had the Superman tattoo on his shoulder, right? He was a fan favorite, and he was a draw, and he still is to this day a fan favorite and a draw. But that's just my opinion of him as a bodybuilder. Don't get me wrong. Look, I wish I had that problem where my genetics took me, to the very top, and then I had to decide whether I wanted to work hard or not. But all right, until then, I bid you. I don't even know how the expression goes. Doesn't matter. Until then, like, share, subscribe, and I will see you soon. And don't forget, we got Muscle Talk coming on. And I have Robert Fletcher coming on. Robert Fletcher runs Muscle and Fitness, and he actually worked for Joe Weider, and he has some great stories about Joe and Ben Weider. That should be an interesting interview. And obviously go back and watch the Seth Spartan interview about, we talked about Trenbolone, Anavar, Ozempic, plenty of other stuff. The kid is a really good wealth of knowledge. And that's about it. All right, guys, I will see you soon. Later. Peace.